Hello, YouTube. It's your pal Ryan. I just did a Salt Lake City episode 3, and I'm going right into Salt Lake City episode 4. You're watching this on YouTube, but I also do a podcast for iHeartRadio where they're long form. So I'm going to put 3 and 4 together like a big old sandwich, just full of Salt Lake lady, a big old Salt Lake lady sandwich. But here, if you want to watch it, hit the subscribe and like and all that YouTube shit that I don't even know how to say. But hope you're having a great day wherever you're watching this. And after this, I'm caught up. So I'm going to hit record over here on the old podcast part. Okay, you guys, we are doing episode 4 of Salt Lake. You just heard me do episode 3 of Salt Lake. Shout out to Laura Beth Harp for taking the most amazing notes ever. That is why I've been able to do this so well. But this will catch me up. After episode 4, episode 5 airs tonight, right after the season finale of Beverly Hills. And then I'll do the recap of that next week, and then we'll be all caught up. So good. Also, if you like the podcast, leave a 5-star review on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. And if you like me even more, let me live with you, please. No, go over to the Patreon, patreon.com/so bad it's good. For $5 a month. You get access to literally close to 300 episodes right now of stuff that is not on the main feed. We are doing 2 live Patreon feed shows very soon, which I talked to Maritza about today, and that's going to be fun. And there's been like 4.5 hours of content just in the last couple of days over there. It truly is insane. I am, it's always good when you see somebody trying this hard. Also, use the timestamps. If you're like, I don't want to go back and listen to episode 3 because I saw that 2 weeks ago, you can skip right to episode 4. You can just hit that timestamp and it's going to be right there. So this is called Bad Weather Betrayal. And Bad Weather, of course, is Heather and Whitney. They call themselves Bad Weather. So my guess, if I was a detective, I'm like, they betrayed each other. And that's where we ended that last episode, which you just saw. The episode description for this is: the Arizona girls trip goes from bad to worse. I wish a period was right there. That's all we need. When Whitney and Heather face off, Jen leaves the trip early for pre-trial meetings in New York. Whitney reunites with her siblings to seek answers on her past. The women speculate about Jen's trial. We do the previously, but I literally just talked about the previously in this episode, so I don't need to do that. No cast photo, no taglines. We open back up at the same dinner where I just talked about 2 seconds ago on episode 3 recap. And Whitney's like, Angie told us you were there. And Heather's like, I didn't hear it. Fuck you for calling me a fucking liar. You called me a liar. God damn you. Heather walks away from the table. Jen's following her. And Jen's like, Heather, fuck you to Whitney. And Whitney goes, hey, fuck me, please. I would love to be fucked. And Jen goes, Heather, what happened? And Meredith's like, what's going on? And Whitney goes, she's lying. Heather in a confessional goes, tonight was supposed to be a hot girls in lingerie gnawing away at hunks of meat. Already that sounds weird. And then Whitney decided to unload on all these rumors about Lisa giving blowies for basketball seats. Could we also say handies? I always like handies for a hand job, blowies for a blow job. Where do you ever go anies? What is it? What is dry humping? The dry humpies? You ever do any dry humpies? Dry humpies for some Utah Jazz? You get that dry humpies going, it's decision time. And now Whitney has dragged me into it, and I'm a liar in lingerie without a steak to be found. We get an image of the steak on the grill coming on the screen with the words in memoriam, Arizona Steaks, 2022, rest in peace. Also, I want to do a shout out to the last time I saw this. I think it was with Dog in season 8 of Vanderpump Rules, when Katie and Tom Schwartz had the pet lizard dog, Daug, and Tom was not able to take care of that lizard, and it died prematurely. Anyways, Heather goes, Whitney said that I had heard this nugget about Lisa fucking some guy for courtside Jazz tickets. She's drunk and she doesn't know what she's saying. Whitney's still at the table with Meredith. Heather didn't even know what I was going through because I just sit there and listen to her shit. She never took time to even ask me how I was doing. It goes straight to my abuse. Like everyone uses me for what they want. Whitney in a confessional goes, I'm starting to realize now that because of the abuse that I suffered as a kid, I never learned how to stand up for myself or how to set boundaries with people. And now that I'm able to hold a boundary, people struggle with it because they're seeing me show up in a different way than they weren't expecting. Guys, listen, I'm 100% down with this. We've all experienced this, right? Like when you actually try to change a pattern, people are so used to you being this dude or this girl that they can like pick on or talk down to. And when you decide to actually like go, hey, and like, listen, we know Whitney's not doing it with grace. You know, who would do it with grace if you're not you're bumbly, you're fumbling, you don't know what to do. And you're, like it's awkward when you're trying to like learn how to be a better person and how to stand up for yourself. It's not graceful. And people freak out. People freak out when you start trying to be somebody better or somebody different or trying to take care of your shit. It really, truly threatens people. So I really do feel like this. Now, of course, though, Whitney is fumbling a little bit with it, right? Like this isn't the most graceful of times to do this. It wasn't the right time, but the point is she's trying. And the other thing is Heather is her best friend. And she did admit to having these abusive memories from a kid that I think, trigger warning is sexual. And this is like a big deal, man. Like that's a big deal. Meredith is like, you're going through a lot of stuff, Whitney, a lot. And Meredith hugs Whitney when he's like, I'm just done eating everyone else's shit. Listen, nobody should ever eat poop. I think everybody can agree on that. That's something where we all know that 2 girls, 1 cup thing. Never tell your kids about that. That's something that should be forgotten. That YouTube video. Was it a YouTube video or where was that? Just a dastardly time in our life. I don't know if there's a Wikipedia page, but if you guys don't know what I'm talking about, maybe don't even look it up because I think you might be flagged on an FBA wanted list. But 2 girls, 1 cup. It was a horrible time in the early 2000s, like 2005 or something. Oh, Whitney's like, I'm just done eating everyone's shit. Heather in the bathroom go, I will not own shit that never happened. Whitney in a confessional goes, I'm really hurt by Heather. She's the person who knows me the best, who I'm closest to, who I expect to be there for me in the darkest hour. I'm starting to realize that maybe Heather doesn't give a fuck about me. And when he goes, I am not a pawn. And she's slamming these grilling tongs on the tables. You're like, because they truly were going to have steak. And, the tongs are there. And she's just slamming the tongs. And remember, they're still all in lingerie. So to me, this is classic Housewives. You got grilling tools, you got lingerie, you got drunk people, you got yelling. This is classic. And when he goes, I am not a pawn. And Mary's like, give me that. Okay, let's not get violent with the tongues. And when he goes, I'm so mad, I'm sorry. And Heather goes, I've never fought with Whitney like this ever. We have had big disagreements, but she's never looked at me and called me a liar ever. And that's like a pretty big accusation about a pretty stupid thing. Heather's walking back to the table. Don't call me a liar ever. You called me a liar first. I never did. Look at me. Look at me. We talked about it, babe. You are too drunk right now to be cognizant of what's happening. Don't do that. You better be real. And if you need more validity, find some facts. The facts is Angie. Let's call Angie because Angie told you and I don't care who Lisa's fucked. I don't care who Meredith's fucked. I don't care who you fucked. Jen's fucked. I don't care. I want to come together and support our friend who's fucking guilty of crimes. I'm sorry, 50 years in prison. And guess what? This entire evening has become about you and Lisa pointing to Whitney and Meredith. And that is not the purpose of this trip. So get focused and realize what this is all about. And when he goes, now you get focused because what you were fucking loaded that night, Heather. On fucking what? She's talking about the basketball game. Heather and Whitney are both standing now, yelling in each other's faces. Whitney goes, because Angie said, if I was loaded, then don't hold me accountable. We walked up. Fuck you. I'm not doing that. And as she says that, she grabs Whitney and she has like human-like strength and she just throws to the side out of the way. And Whitney stumbles into the wall. Like it really is just like, boom. It was just like a Heisman Trophy, like boom. I mean, poor Whitney just shoved. Like it wasn't even a thing, And Heather's like, you just lost me for fucking ever. You lost me forever. And that was the biggest fucking mistake of your life. I've never seen Heather get this worked up. So I am like, holy shit. Heather definitely knows what Whitney's talking about. Like, this is like, come on. Like, why get this aggressive? And Whitney goes, you did not lose me forever, Heather. No, you lost me, bitch. You lost me. Classic house swap. That was so good. When he goes, oh my God. Heather in a confessional goes, bitch, don't come at me. I'm already barely forging a foundation with Lisa. And the last thing I want to do is just lie. And your path to truth and friendship with Lisa is not mine. Certainly not if it requires me to lie or back up bullshit. Heather, like I always say on this, it's so interesting. You really are tied into these old relationships. Because remember, Heather went to college with Lisa Barlow, and Lisa didn't really like her. Lisa was the cool person, and Heather wasn't. So Heather is still under this guise of like wanting to impress Lisa. And Jen goes, "Okay, I know I'm making you uncomfortable right now." And Lisa goes, No, you're not. Your boobs might be, because we're in Lisa and they're walking in the hall together. And Jen's like, it's because it like pushes them up. And she's talking about her boobs in the corset. And Lisa's like, yeah, they're like at eye level. I like that there was like a little break in the action to talk about boobs. And Lisa goes, thanks for being my friend tonight. I appreciate like the progress we've made. And Heather's like, I do too, Lisa. And Lisa's like, and like where we are. And Heather goes, you don't have to thank me for being your friend. I want to be your friend. I'll show up as your friend. And I'm telling you, as a friend, I have never had a conversation with any single person here about anything about your marriage or your extramarital affairs. But I just don't buy this. Lisa goes, thank you. Thank you. And Jen goes, well, I'm flying to New York tomorrow night on a red eye. And Lisa goes, yeah, which is why we don't need to talk about this anymore. And Heather's like, she's leaving for New York to prepare for the trial of her goddamn life. Don't worry, you guys. She never goes to trial, so we're good. She didn't prepare. Lisa goes, for your life, I'm going to bed. Love you. Let me just sleep. I need to call John. Poor John gets called nonstop. We see Whitney go into her room, just close the door. Jen to Heather goes, thanks for being here for me. And Heather goes, I mean, she did the most she could. We see a land shot of the sun going down, a night sky in the desert. A Chiron comes up saying it's 2:11 a.m. Jen's like, I brought a professional in. She's her bullhorn. She's like, Crystal pussy. All right, ladies. And Heather's like, you're going to do a show for us, girl? I guess it's like this instructor girl that also does maybe her makeup too. And Jen goes, the current Shaw Squad, you got to wear a lot of hats, okay? And she's in the talking head. She has like this little hat on. It looks ridiculous, but I'm sure fashion people like it. She goes, my makeup artist is also called Crystal Pussy. She's also a twerking instructor. And Jen's like, I signed us up for twerking class. I don't know, like it's energetic and we see these people twerking and it's weird because Meredith is watching. She's like, it's just really fun. It's just a really fun chat. You know, it's like Meredith is such a classy lady, even though she's fucked half of New York allegedly. But you know, she's just kind of, she's like, yeah, it's really. Meredith's really bad at twerking too, by the way. It's not her forte, nor should it be. On the Patreon, I swear to God, there was a question me and Maritza talked about if we've ever twerked. And I admitted that I had tried to twerk by myself just to see if I could do it. And I can't. Maritza tried to do it as well and threw her back out. So, you know, some of us are not blessed, but I think I appreciate the art of twerking. I do think there is an art to it. I just, not a lot of these ladies have it. Meredith goes, I don't think I was built to twerk. It definitely is not in my wheelhouse. I will not be making rent this month and I'm okay with it. And Seth is like, I'm making rent because I have 4,000 employees in Canton, Ohio. Don't you worry about it, Meredith. You don't have to twerk at all. Seth Marks has it right here, you guys. Meredith goes, she can twerk everywhere. I can squeeze one butt cheek because the Crystal pussy's just shaking her butt. Anyways, now we're in Arizona day 3, timestamp 12:03 p.m. Everybody's getting out of bed. Heather finds milk duds in her bed. And listen, you know, we've all been there, right? Who amongst us has not woken up with a half-eaten 7-layer burrito from Taco Bell just right between their thighs? You know what I'm saying? Like, who hasn't just shamefully eaten a box of Kit Kats in the middle, you know, just in the middle of the night because they woke up worried about something? You know, this is like, you know, I'm like, oh yeah, totally. This is why I'm bummed out Heather doesn't like me, because I really like Heather. Heather finds this ripped up piece of paper on the floor and she's reading the card and she's putting it back together like a puzzle. And she's like, Heather, no words needed here. Bad weather, no matter what. XOXO, gossip girl. No, XOXO, Whitney. So Whitney tore up this card of love to Heather and then threw it in Heather's room, which is such a dramatic high school thing to do. And Heather's like, I've come to speak to the emperor, because she comes outside and Meredith's out there with coffee and they're in their PJs. Why do ladies always compliment each other on their PJs? Like, ladies compliment each other on everything, but even the PJs. Like, can we like their PJs? Like, you know, like, ooh, those are cozy PJs. Like, okay, like I get the dresses and I get the makeup, but like the PJ, can we draw a line somewhere? Like, that's very nice athleisure wear. Like, you know. So Jen comes out and they're having coffee. And Heather goes, I woke up to a very visual representation of how Whitney feels about our friendship right now. And Meredith goes, she was very upset last night. She ripped up our friendship card in my room when I woke up this morning and it was shredded. We flash back to the previous night. Whitney is laying in bed and then jumps up and says, actually, I know how I can get her back. And she goes into Heather's room and rips up the card and throws it on the ground. I got to tell you, this is just so high school because I remember my best friend, Dusty, who's still my best friend. It's just so weird when you're older and you're like, you still my best friend. Like I always talk about this, the concept of best friend as you get older gets sillier and sillier because there's so many people that enter your life. But like best friends are like, you know, junior high, elementary school, high school, college, but then it gets dicey, you know, and when the guy like, this is my best friend. There's no better friend than this. And then when you're locked in as a best friend in high school, you're usually you're grandfathered in for the rest of your life. You're like locked in. Like I always still like I see Dusty maybe once a year, you know, but like he's still my best friend. But I remember there was something I did, like I'm trying to remember what he was upset about. What was it? It was something really petty. But I had this candelabra. This thing sounds insane. Okay, he had given me this cool candelabra in high school. We were theater kids, whatever. It was cool. Like, and it had like these red candles that would like melt over the candelabra. And I thought it was like, you know, really cool and gothic. And I remember coming in one night, I think I was hanging out with this girl and I was supposed to hang out with him maybe, and I didn't. And I come in and my mom was like, Dusty came by and said hello. And I'm like, oh, okay. And I go into my room and like nothing. And then all of a sudden I realized the red candles out of the candelabra are gone. So Dusty came in just to take the candles out of the candelabra to give me a sign that I screwed up as a friend. That's what this reminded me of. Total high school. Oh my God. I gotta talk to Dusty about that again. We were also talking about how memory, because I would love to hear that from his memory. You know, it's like how we remember things is not necessarily how they actually happened. Sometimes we put our insecurity and all of that stuff into our memories. So we'll see it from a different light than the actual thing that happened, which is kind of scary. That's why Housewives are so fascinating, because usually most of this stuff is actually filmed. That's why the Kathy Lisa stuff is so disappointing, because it's not even fucking filmed. So Heather goes, she left it there for me to find. And I'm just like, what the fuck? I didn't realize it last night. I walked through it. I fell asleep in a pile of milk duds. And that was how the night ended. Now, I wonder this, like, remember when Schwartz was on the bed with Katie on like a bed full of candy? That's when I knew that relationship potentially wouldn't work out. Cause I was like, that's not, and he was like, sexy time, you know, like, does she dump out the milk duds? And then it's kind of like when you do that with like popcorn and M&Ms and you throw M&Ms in popcorn, you're like, ooh, I got a surprise bite with an M&M in the popcorn. Does she throw the milk duds on the bed and then just kind of like, just flop around and like, hopefully she'll bump into a milk dud that she can eat? Or is she eating out of a box and then they just spilled? I would like to believe the first, but I know it's probably the latter. So Heather, Whitney is getting up. She's like, how do I feel? And Jen goes, you think you can have a talk with Heather today? Whitney goes, yeah, Jen goes, you're hurt. Whitney goes, feel completely betrayed. Meredith back on the porch is like, I think there's just a lot of things going on. I mean, obviously she's dealing with her emotional stuff right now. And Heather goes, I love her. I would never betray her. I would never even speak ill of her. But Heather, you did literally fucking like Macho Man Randy Savage her into the window. I mean, like you did like physically move her into a wall. Whitney goes, I got to go get ready to see my brother. And Jen goes, okay, is your sister going to be there? I hope so. Are you okay to go see him? I don't know. Whitney says, there are two people in this world that understand and know what I'm going through right now. And that's my half brother and sister, Curtis and Kelly. Curtis really encouraged me to push through and come on this trip, so I need to see them. And Jen goes, I love you. I hope I get to see you. Will you keep me posted? And yeah. Okay. So Jen in a confessional goes, this reprieve for a couple days, it's done now. Now it's back to reality. Now I have to get back and immerse into trial prep for a crime I committed. She didn't say that, but I just wanted a minute, a few days to just pretend this isn't happening. It gives me anxiety because of what I know the consequences are and what this means for me and my family. These talking heads frustrate me, you know, because if she was innocent, but she's not. And like the sad part of this is I think she knows she's not. And that all just bums me out. Heather goes, here's what blows my mind. The whole trip was supposed to be about Jen. And Meredith goes, I know. This whole trip was supposed to be fun. And instead, Whitney's sobbing. Whitney's sobbing, getting touched as a kid, loser. And Meredith's like, I recognize somehow this was all like triggering back to her abuse side of things. I didn't get mad at her. I was hugging her because I know she's suffering deeply inside right now, trying to put these pieces together. We flash to Whitney walking out of the house and getting into this car to go to her brother's house. And Whitney's confessional, she goes, This entire process is very intense for me. I'm hopeful that I can find some relief and some comfort to try to connect the dots. This is actually the real in reality. This is a real shit that she's going through. We get to the brother's house in Queen Creek, which is a nice area in Arizona. And Curtis is like, Whit, what's up? Oh my God, welcome. How are you? Good. It's been good. Come on in. You're looking good. Thank you. You too. Tanya, Curtis's wife. Hey, hi, Tanya. Nice to see you. I haven't seen you in so long. Your house is amazing. Thank you. I wish I was staying at this house. This house actually looks like a house that was built in this decade. So it's different from their house. Just, both have roofs, over the head. So they're already, both have doors. So, the basics are all the same. Anyways, they all sit down and they kind of just talk about so Whitney is Curtis and Kelly, they share the same father as Whitney, just different mothers. And Whitney in a confessional was like, I wasn't extremely close to them growing up because when my dad divorced their mom and married my mom and had me and my sister, he really just focused the time on our family. Like I saw Curtis and Kelly maybe a handful of times throughout my childhood. And I'm just so grateful that they're willing to show up for me now and I can have them as a part of my life now. And Kelly goes, I remember when you were born, I got a phone call saying you have a little sister. Her name's Whitney. And I was like, who is this? And Whitney's like, Justin and I talk about that a lot. I'm like, I have an older sister that you've never met. And Curtis is like, you've never met Justin? Justin's cool. And Whitney's like, I'm on this massive healing journey. I just have this huge gaping wound that I need to close. And I just feel like you both are the missing link to that. I hate that we didn't have a connection growing up. And Curtis is like, we did, we're connected. And Curtis is like, I always felt like we're a lot alike. When I went to Utah before I went on the mission, remember Mormons go on 2-year missions, you guys, to spread the word of the Book of Mormon. And he's like, I spent some time with you there. And she's like, you did? Yeah, you probably don't remember, but I do. I was in college. I feel things. So when you're saying that, I know you were around. I know I saw you. And, I talked to Will a lot about different memories I have. A photo of Will, Whitney's half brother, flashes on screen. And Whitney's like, I just thought this process, I realized I was just being manipulated and used and abused. Like, I just realized even though our situations are probably different, the feelings are the same. So while Curtis and Kelly and I's traumas are all different, Whitney says, they share the same feelings of being let down by this person that we all know and we should have been able to trust, which I'm assuming is the dad, right? And Curtis goes, I think for me, I realized early that hurt people. And she's like, yeah. And so if somebody's hurting me, I automatically think you must be hurting. There's two sides of the coin, right? And we get to choose which side we look at. I can't erase the negative. I can just erase the way I can feel about it. There's a lot of good that can come from the relationship, and you have to remember that. And I think every time you find that gratitude, at least in my life, it gets me out in front of the negative. I love that. I don't practice it much, but I love it. Kelly goes, and I'm telling you, Whitney, it'll never make sense to you, okay? That's what you need to understand. It'll never make sense. There's never going to be a moment where you're like, okay, I'm free, I'm successful, I got it, everything is good. No, because it's not your wound to heal, and it may never happen. And Curtis is like, do you want it to just disappear and never feel it? Because I don't. It hasn't happened for me yet. And Whitney's like, no, I needed to see you both and hear you say that it's okay that I let it go. And he's like, yeah, move on. Everybody's got something that they have to deal with, so deal with it, but give it a time and a place. And Kelly goes, you have to, Whitney. And Whitney in a confessional goes, I don't know what the next steps are to continue to heal and move on, but I do know that I'm going to let go because this is no longer serving me. And I know that Curtis and Kelly are going to be instrumental in helping me get through that. And it's actually a really nice scene. And especially from the intensity and the insanity of lingerie and milk duds and throwing people around in a kitchen with tongs, it's really nice because it makes you realize people are going through shit and we all go through shit. And I'm proud of Whitney for dealing with this. And it seems like she does have some supportive people around her. So we return to the actual main house, more rain, and Heather's in the kitchen getting breakfast ready. Lisa's like, hey, Heather. And Heather's like, hi, good morning. 2:15 p.m. flashes on the screen. Heather's like, I've got eggs, bacon, hash browns. So Jen's leaving soon? And Heather's like, well, I'm glad we got a fun girls trip for her. And Lisa goes, I hope she thinks it was fun. And Heather goes, it wasn't fun. There was nothing fun about it. Lisa goes, what time did you end up going to bed? And Heather's like, I stayed up till 3. And Meredith's like, good morning, guys. How are you? And Heather's like, good morning. Lisa doesn't respond to Meredith. And Heather flashes a look over at her, and Lisa in a confessional goes, I still feel awkward about everything. I feel like I'm getting to a better place with Meredith, but I still don't know what her role was. All of these rumors. I was really upset last night. I called John. He helped me calm down. After having a burrito and some Kit Kats, I realized this needs to be about Jen. Come on, man. after having a burrito and some Kit Kats. Like, she's working her way through a burrito, getting some Kit, and she's like, you know what? You know what? I think this has got to chill for a bit. I'm working through this with food. Heather's like, the heavens are crying because Jen's leaving because it's raining. Jen's like, good morning, hoes. And Heather's like, hey, cheers to a new day. And Meredith's like, Jen, how are you feeling about everything? Well, I had a full-on anxiety attack this morning because I have to actually fly to New York and I'm going by myself. And Heather's like, are you doing like discovery with them? Are you going to do depositions? What are you doing? And she's like, no, we're going to do another mock trial while I'm there. And this is the first time I will be hearing our side, the defense side. We did a mock trial last week on the prosecution side. And I mean, I walked out twice and slammed the door and everybody's like, ha, 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 ha. And I'm like, why the fuck are we laughing? Like, honestly, why the fuck are we laughing at any of this? Jen's like, it's hard to sit there and listen to lies and you can't talk. And Heather's like, what is the expression that they want you to have? Just like stoic? Then Meredith goes, blank, probably. As Meredith says that blankly. And Jen says, yeah, in fact, my lead trial attorney, Freier, says, you know, Jen, I'm going to need you to not get Botox. And I'm like, what? And she said, you know, earlier you were talking about something very emotional and you're crying, but your face isn't moving. And I need your face to move. That's the state of our legal system, folks. I need your face to move so people can feel sympathy for you. All the women laugh again because it's so funny. Heather goes, wait, so you're taking the stand? You're totally testifying? And Jen goes, well, I have no issue testifying. I think it just depends. Like, we don't, know. And Heather's like, they don't know yet for sure. And Jen goes, we're a month away now. That's why this trip was important to me because I needed a little bit of a reprieve from that and just to like get away. And Meredith's like, what are you going to do to calm yourself and to keep yourself like, and Jen goes, a lot of times I'll just go lay down next to Omar and he just calms me down, which is just like intense because that's her 16-year-old son. And I'm sure when that happens, it doesn't potentially calm Omar down, like, say, why is my mom laying down next to me? And it is emotional having to leave your family, I'm sure, and to realize that you are going to have to pay potentially the price for what you allegedly did. Jen says it's really hard on her boys. It puts into perspective all of the blessings and things I have to be grateful for, she says. In a confessional, she goes, that's why I've tried to just like not take anything for granted anymore and celebrate every single day. What if something happens and I'm not here to celebrate it next year? This is the part where it's just like, it's tough, man. Like, money truly can be the root of all evil. I would love to find out if that's truly true. So sign up for my Patreon, but it sucks, because not everything's black and white, right? There's all this gray and like money is so attractive and you can help people with money and all that stuff and do cool things and wear cool things and be larger than life and have people celebrate you and be a Shaw Squad. But then on the other hand, you took it from the wrong people. You got it the wrong way. You did this the wrong way. And now you have to pay for that. And that fucking sucks. So Whitney's car arrives back at the house and Jen's leaving in like 45 minutes. They all say hi to Whitney. And Jen goes, you look pretty and refresh. And Whitney goes, sorry, my brother's house took a little bit longer, but keep going. And Whitney in a confessional goes, I haven't spoken to Heather or seen her. And honestly, right now, I want nothing to do with her. Are you all packed, Jen? Pretty much. And pretty much for me means she's not. And so then they all go help her pack. And there's like wigs everywhere and makeup, just a lot of shit. It was like me trying to get out of the hotel the day after BravoCon when I was just like throwing shit in a bag. It's kind of how I actually packed to go to BravoCon to begin with too. Lisa goes, we'll get your bags. And Heather goes, you got this. And Jen in the confessional goes, this trip meant a lot to me. The women all hug. And I was like, man, once again, man, I just can't wait to be a criminal and get celebrated like this. Jen in the confessional goes, these 4 women believe in me. Ha 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 ha. I've fooled these 4 women into believing me. They love me and support me. And that's what's important to me. And Lisa goes, okay, you're going to miss your plane. Go, go, go. Love you. And Heather's like, get in the car. You look great. Meredith's like, bye. And Jen's like, love you. Bye, you hoes. But earlier in the episode, Jen did say she was taking a red eye. So I don't know why she left at like middle of the day. Is this like last season when they were like, Heather was like, yeah, I paid for her Uber. She stopped out of nowhere and then got another Uber. Remember that? You never know with Jen. Lisa goes, I feel overwhelmed. I'm just going to go to bed. I'm just going to take a little nap. And Heather's like, yeah, I think that's smart. I'm going to do the same. Meredith walks up to Lisa and hugs her, you guys. But Heather and Whitney just stand there and look on. So in the background, you see Meredith and Lisa hugging. In the foreground, you see Heather and Whitney on opposite sides. They're going to study this in film class one day. This is a film This is a beautiful shot scene. 2 hugs right here in the middle. And then on the outside, Whitney and Heather not hugging. And Lisa goes, I'll see you guys in like an hour. Meredith in the confessional goes, with everything Jen is going on and her trial looming over her head, it gives perspective on letting things go. I mean, nothing is bigger than what she has going on right now. And Whitney, Heather, and Meredith group hug again. And Meredith goes, it's a lot. Heather goes, it's a lot. And Whitney goes, I don't know if my eyelids can take any more crying. And they all laugh. We return to thunder and lightning over the Scottsdale night sky. Whitney's in the entryway of the house dressed and drinking a glass of wine. And she's like, ladies, we have reservations. Let's go. They wind up in Old Town Scottsdale at Dierks Bentley's Whiskey Row. You know, Dierks Bentley, I believe he's a country singer. I just love that this is where they shot Dierks Bentley. Welcome to TGI Fridays, where we make a mean steak. Dollar shots for the ladies. It's raining too. And the host is like, welcome to Dierks Bentley's Whiskey Row. I'll take you guys to your table. I can't believe I'm on TV. Heather's like, that would be wonderful. And the waitress is like, we have some bottles of 1942 to welcome you to Whiskey Row. And we're like, we're at Dierks Bentley. Like, just made me like a vodka soda. They shoot confetti over at the women, but it's weird because it's rainy and it's not even packed. The women cheer and the waitress pours a shot. And Heather's like, what should we toast to? And Meredith is like, I think everybody should just pick one word of something meaningful for us all to toast to. And Lisa goes, okay, I like that. And Whitney goes, one word. Meredith goes, one word. And I don't know my word. So if someone else could go first. And Lisa goes, love. I'll do it. Love. Meredith goes, peace. Heather goes, friendship. And Whitney goes, honesty. And there's like a look at Heather. Heather's like, ee. And Meredith goes, here we go. And they cheers and take shots. Whitney in a confessional goes, Heather and I still have not spoken. We are still not good. And just because Heather wants to sweep this under the rug does not mean that last night is over. We're going there. I know that I am not lying. I know that she hurt me deeply. We get a flashback to last night. They order some food when he's like, yes, American slider, the Tennessee hot slider, and some hummus. By the way, is Dierks Bentley known for their hummus? Come down to Dierks Bentley for some hummus. We love chickpeas and we do it right here at Dierks Bentley's. We do the best Tennessee hot sliders and hummus. Whitney takes out her phone and shows them pictures. She's like, I want to show you my family. And Lisa's like, so this is your dad's oldest son. So they're showing the family. Everybody looks beautiful, blah, blah, blah. And Meredith's like, you definitely look related. You know, I lived in Scottsdale for a year of my life. And Heather goes, you did? And Lisa goes, wait, what? Oh my God, did Meredith fuck half of Scottsdale as well? Meredith goes, I did. And Heather goes, why is this just coming up now? I'm like, well, because it's just who fucking cares? I don't know. And Meredith's like, because I didn't think about it until now. And the lady's all, oh. When he goes, no, you told me, I remember it. I told you that, yeah. Your sister had bronchitis, right? My sister had chronic bronchitis. And my father used to like develop communities through the Sunbelt states. So we moved here for a year to like dry out my sister's lungs to be in the dry heat. Meredith gets emotional. Meredith goes, and I was remembering that there was this one restaurant I loved called Pinnacle Peak, which I know this restaurant. I believe it's at the top of the point. And I would always make my father wear a tie because he would cut your tie off because it was the Wild West. The women laugh. I have a look of horror on my face. Heather goes, and your dad would wear a tie so they would cut it off. And Meredith goes, yeah, it was just sweet. A photo of Meredith and her late father come up on screen. Ugh. Heather goes, you remember that? And there were a million times you went to dinner that you don't remember. You know what I mean? Which is why you have to hold on to those memories because they're significant. You don't ever know what's going to imprint, you know? And Whitney just stares at Heather silently. And she goes, I need to run to the restroom quick. And Heather gets up to go shit. And no, but it is true, man. Do you ever think about that? You know, 365 days in a year, and you can only like really remember back like 10 or 12 days on some of those years. You know, you're like, oh shit, yes. Oh my God. That is the only reason that sometimes I'm like, I would maybe allow a computer chip in my brain. Like, because wouldn't you love to just have a perfect memory, just remember everything? Sure, some things we want to forget, but wouldn't it be nice? And especially if we ever lose people. Whitney goes, well, I'm glad you're having happy memories. And Meredith goes, yeah, it's good. It was good. It was good. So how do you feel about things with Heather after last night? Really hurt. You guys need to talk. One, it shocked me. Like I needed her in that moment because I was doing something very hard for me in speaking the truth and for her to not back me up, but in fact, call me a liar that crushed me because she's literally the one person that I thought never would do that to me because she knows what I'm going through and knows that my biggest issue is trust, not being heard, being abused, and being taken advantage of. Here's Heather. Hello, Heather Gay. What did I miss? Whitney goes, I was just talking about last night, like how in a very difficult situation, I needed you and you weren't there for me. And in fact, you hurt me deeply and called me a liar and told me that I was too drunk and that I don't remember it when I know that you know that I'm talking about. Like that hurt me because I felt like you are my girl, Heather, and a tough moment when I needed you. And I was like, I'm unclear on what the tough moment that you needed me to corroborate a story that you heard to say that you knew it, but I didn't know that. Heather, let's just be honest and real. You and I have had many conversations about Lisa. Heather was absolutely not about blowjobs for courtside seats. Never once, never, not never. Yeah, we have. If you want to, guess what? If someone says something horrible to me and I choose to recuse that and not remember that and not put it in my bank and not pull it out to hurt someone, that is my fucking choice. It is not an indication of my loyalty to you, my loyalty to them. That is my choice. You want to talk about shit? You talk about it. I don't have to sign up for every single issue that is important to you, but I needed you in a hard moment. You did not need me. I did need you. That is a lie. You did not need me. I did need you. Why? To say, yeah, I've heard Lisa gave a blowjob for courtside seats. And Lisa goes, can we stop saying that? Because that's really, we're at Dirk's Bentley. This is a nice restaurant, you guys. We just ate hummus. Heather's like, that's why I would never say it because it's not true. I know. That's why it's upsetting to me. So I'd appreciate it if everybody stopped saying it. You didn't need me, Whitney. That's a false idea in your head. It was supposed to be a trip for Jen. You're not saying the truth and clearing the air. Why are you coming in screaming and crying about Lisa's rumors when the real drama was our good friend is facing 50 years in prison and was leaving alone on a flight? Now, this is the weird thing. Let's go back to this piece of dialogue that Heather says here. If someone says something horrible to me and I choose to recuse that, not remember that, not put in my bank and not pull it out to hurt someone, that is my fucking choice. So what Heather is saying right there is like, okay, so what if we did talk about that? It's my choice to never talk about that again, to not use it against her. So pretty much to me, that's an admission of guilt to me. I really truly felt like, but the thing is, Heather has the gift of gab. Whitney is just a little bit stuttery. And I find that unfortunate because I feel like Whitney has the higher ground in some of this. And also to not gaslight, but for like, come on, like she actually did need you, Heather. Stop saying she didn't. She did. You're her friend. She wanted a backup. It's like on Southern Charm when, Naomi said Vanita shouldn't have asked Craig how he was feeling because that's her friend. Whitney goes, now you're just using Jen as your scapegoat to what's really going on here. And Heather goes, I mean, Jen's not a scapegoat. You arranged this trip. Whitney, you wanted to celebrate Jen, not to work through all your personal issues and your issues and friendships with Lisa. You made it about you. I did not make this about me. The first night was about you. Heather goes, the first night was about you and you were crying and we talked all about your childhood abuse. That was the first dinner. That was all about you. That wasn't about Jen. And it's like, damn, Heather, we're talking about abuse here. And she just didn't pull that out of her ass. That came up after a conversation. You guys were all sharing and it came up. That's like a really shitty thing to say. Whitney says, this is like a huge blow that she isn't supporting me as a friend and supporting me as I'm going through something hard. Like it hurts. Heather goes, this was a fun night and we're going to die on the cross of like what I've heard about Lisa. Meredith goes, I think you have to explain because what resonated to me was not about this or that it's true or false. And when he goes, it's not about the rumors. It's about the position you feel that you're in. Whether anyone's put you there or not, those are your feelings. And you do explain that to Heather. When he goes, Heather, what you don't need to what you need to realize where my pain is coming from is because the one person that was safe to me, that is where my pain is. Abuse, being taken advantage of, not having a voice, poor timing, poor delivery, because I have something to say, but no one fucking listens to me. And I needed you in that moment to just validate that I was speaking the truth. That's it. You hurt me deeply. Come on, man. Doesn't that make sense? Think about the words and not the delivery. And she knows she delivers things poor timing, poor delivery, but she needed her friend in that moment. And Heather goes, you hurt me too. You came into my room, you ripped our little special note card up, knocked stuff over. I couldn't find my milk duds. How is that as a truth seeker trying to heal? I did not knock stuff over. I ripped up your card because you hurt me. Okay, because you want the truth? Well, that hurt me. So we're even. Well, I'm cleansing a lot of family out of my life right now. Okay, well, why don't you, be accountable for stirring up a lot of drama on a trip that was supposed to be celebrate our friend who's facing real problems and real issues. Truth seeker? That's not a true thing, pointing at Lisa, nor rumors or bullshit that she says is not true. Oh my God. Lisa in a confessional goes, At this point, I think Heather is completely unaware of how insensitive she's being to Whitney. She's going through a lot. You should be asking her how she's feeling and how she's doing instead of saying she's making this trip all about her, like the sensitivity chip. Let's put it back in, Heather. This is fucking Lisa Barlow saying this about Heather, who's saying I never heard about the blowies. And even fucking Lisa standing up for Whitney. Heather goes, the trip got derailed and it wasn't me that derailed it. You pushed me into the wall. You pushed me into a wall and called me a liar. It's so funny. You pushed me into the wall and called me a liar. Heather goes, you're up a river with no paddle. Stop. You're going to put this on me. I'm not putting it on you, Whitney. This is both of us talking about it. This is what mature adults do at Dirk's Bentley while we're eating hummus. And Whitney goes, but every time I talk about my feelings, you say, don't talk about feelings. I don't want to do this. Heather goes, you only talk about feelings. That's what it's about. You're in charge of the way of the dialogues that we all get to have. We just want to have fun, light, easy dinner. Okay, we can do that. We're at Dirk's Bentley. Whiskey Row. Whitney in a confessional goes, this conversation is unproductive. It's not going anywhere. And what I'm processing personally is more important than worrying about Heather and I. Like, it's just too much for me to take on right now. And Meredith goes, okay, guys, we're leaving tomorrow. Can we just have some fun for a minute? I'm so down for that. Okay, Lisa, I'm in. Okay. Heather goes, I'm always in. The waitress brings over the tequila. Do you notice also Lisa Barlow's tequila, when they poured it, she didn't drink it. And I wonder if that's in homage to Beat It Tequila. Meredith goes, love it. Thank you. No, Meredith goes, love it. Thank you. This is not Utah. Like, ooh, they serve big drinks here. Lisa goes, oh my, we do have cheesecake left. And Meredith goes, hi guys, I have gifts here, everybody. Meredith hands out all the gifts back at the house, and their women are all in matching red Meredith Marks PJs with their initials are on it. And they have hats with FBI on it. And this is a reference to last season when the ladies accused Meredith of giving information about Jen Shaw to the FBI. So it is so funny when we make jokes about people that have actually committed the crimes and like the different bureaus that have been involved in that, and like the government money that has been spent, that if you pay your taxes, it goes to. I appreciate jokes like this. Heather goes, has Jen seen this? We get a flashback to Meredith giving Jen one of the hats, and Jen's like, where the hose at? Woo, I love free hats. And Meredith goes, yes. And Heather goes, did she die laughing? Yeah. With everything she's facing, she really did come and just danced and sprayed rosé, which is what I really got to say. She kind of did that at BravoCon too. I mean, listen, the reality of the situation is Jen's a charming person. There's a reason why she probably got taken in by, like, she got so many people to follow her and so many, like, you know, she's charming as hell. She's fun as hell. That's why she was able to do what she did. Like, my God. Lisa goes, she literally can compartmentalize. I couldn't do it. Heather's like, she's remarkable in that aspect for sure. Calm down, Heather. Lisa goes, watching her strength and how confident she is in everything, it makes me feel like she's going to have a good outcome. Heather goes, well, what is a good outcome? Just like an acquittal first day? And Meredith goes, I don't think anything's going to happen on the first day. I mean, that's very ambitious. Heather goes, I know, but it's like, I don't even know what to expect. Like, based on everything we're seeing on the news of her co-defendants and people that are pleading, and we get different headlines about Jen and her trial from Reality Blurb and Inquisitor. And Lisa goes, does it make you nervous? And Heather goes, Lisa goes, does it make you nervous? And Heather goes, it makes me terrified. And Lisa goes, does she seem terrified? And Heather goes, yeah, at times. And then other times she's completely compartmentalized, like it's not even existing. And then when the lines bleed a little bit, you know, and she's kind of that crossover where it's vulnerable and hard to talk about, that, you know, it's the heartbreaking, because it's easier sometimes to be like strong and angry than it is just to be afraid. Dude, I totally get this. I mean, I'm not, listen, I'm trying to empathize with Jen Shaw. At the same time, I'm not, but at the same time, I will say I compartmentalize, and I've learned to get really good at it. I mean, I can do this for a couple hours and talk to you guys, and there's like 3 other things that could like just break me right now. And I can compartment, like, it's just keep going. You know what I'm saying? Just keep going. Heather goes, I think Jen is scared, and I don't think she's ever really felt fear before. So she doesn't know how to talk about it, and she doesn't know how to express it, but I think she's afraid. And Lisa goes, is it bad that she's the last one left? And Meredith is like, in terms of the trial? Yeah. Is she still eligible for a plea deal? And Meredith goes, I mean, you can always make a plea deal. The problem is when you're talking to the government and asking them to make a deal, they want to know what you're giving them in return. And usually it's for the bigger fish. And Heather goes, is Jen the big fish? I don't know. I have no idea. I think at this point we did have an idea. Heather goes, do you guys think Stewart's going to testify against her? And Meredith is like, Stewart actually pled to an additional charge. And when he's like, what was that? Meredith's like, so like he had 70. And Lisa's like, wait, how do you know this? I read it in the news. She went to law school too. And Heather goes, wait a second. If he has pled guilty, knowing that he could serve 30 years, what changes? What information he furnishes? What type of testimony he gives? Well, just talking guilty plea, they're going to give you less time because you took ownership of what you did. But him taking that plea, it doesn't necessarily mean that's bad for Jen. That could be a good thing because he's admitting guilt. Ajar, he's definitely not on her side. And Heather goes, he was so dedicated to their friendship and so dedicated to her. I mean, would you ever imagine that he had it in him to testify against her? I love this when Heather is not putting the pieces together. He was so dedicated to their friendship and dedicated to her. It was like he would do anything she said for him to do. And then he's going to turn against her. That's weird. I wonder what he told her. Wonder what she told him to do. You know, like, guys, come on, man. Heather goes, can you imagine if she's sitting in that courtroom and has to come like take the witness stand? Imagine her having to face Stewart and have him plead guilty to the things she's innocent of. And Meredith goes, I cannot fathom that she's taking this whole thing to trial and doesn't have a good defense. Like, that's what I was saying too. Remember when I was like, yo, I want to see the trial because now I'm just curious about the defense. Like when she was going to trial, I was like, wow, then she must really have a defense. And that's why I wasn't surprised, but it was also like, wait till last minute. Meredith in a confessional goes, the conviction rate in the Southern District of New York is extremely high. It's 98%, which is, 48% more than the people I've slept with in New York. Yeah, I'm a horny Meredith. So her statistics aren't good here. They're just not good. And I can't imagine going through this. I just really can't. I'm going to go to bed, but I think overall Jen had fun. I love Lisa's going to bed moments. She has a lot of them. When he goes, I wish she was here. I miss her already. And Heather goes, I think it meant a lot to her. And Lisa goes, I do too. Next time on Real Housewives of Salt Lake City, the women are skiing and Jen's like, opening ceremonies, bitches. Brooks, Meredith, and Seth are at a restaurant and Brooks is like, I've actually had a boyfriend for the last 2 years. Then Jen is talking to Coach Shaw and says, the judge is pushing the trial out to July. I'm just tired of people questioning my innocence when I'm guilty. And we see Whitney in the bed with Justin going, I just don't think Heather realizes the magnitude of what I went through. Then we flash to Whitney and Heather talking at the ski slopes with Whitney saying, you took my pain and weaponized it against me. And Heather replies, I felt like it was all about you. We see the women ski in the mountain and Meredith's like, hello, and hugs a woman who turns out to be Angie Harrington from the blowy in the courtside seats. And Lisa says in a confessional, what is Angie Harrington doing here? It's like it's like stab me in the back, kiss me on the cheek. But to her credit, she doesn't say slit on the wrist like she did last episode. Angie says to Lisa, hey, could we talk? Let's go over here. Let's talk. Lisa says, Angie, to be honest, I'm not really interested. Like, more lies. Angie says, well, tell me what the lies are that you think I've said. Oh, there's so many, Angie. It's too much to count. I'm not really interested. Sorry. You guys, what an episode we had today. We had a lot of fun and we did a lot in 2 hours. I think we learned a lot about ourselves. We learned a lot about what not to do when stealing from the elderly, but we had fun overall. I hope you had a few laughs. If you like this podcast or the YouTube, what you're watching it on, leave it 5 stars on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, smash that subscribe button, Patreon, all that shit. Thank you guys so much. And I'm going to talk to you on Thursday. We have a great guest. We've had great guests all week, you guys. We're busting ass over here and I hope you appreciate it and are getting some joy out of it. And if not, I'm getting some joy out of it. So thank you guys. I'll talk to you later. Bye. YouTube, you get a special goodbye.